Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my career coaching drop-in session. It's already number 28. Wow. So how have you guys been doing? Well, first of all, thank you everybody for tuning in and joining me here live today. And my name is Lisa. I'm Job Coach Germany. And today I would like to cover the topic of the job reference or the certificate of employment with you guys. So maybe you have heard already about the topic that Germans really like sending a lot of certificates, and somehow they are fans of sending job applications that have several pages. And basically what is happening is that you not only send your CV and your cover letter, but also you are sending your certificates. So that could be your certificates from school, it could be your diploma from high school, it could also be your diploma of your bachelor's degree or your master's degree, and whatever certificate that you have out there, that's what you can use for your job application. And the main difference between the English-speaking market and the German job market is basically that the Germans don't really like calling previous employers. So whereas in the English-speaking world, you normally prepare your CV in a way that you have a setup of your personal data and your work experience, your skills, and so on. But also you have a small part, typically, where you enter 2 to 3 or even 4 contacts that your potential new employer can contact. And basically, they can call them and ask, okay, so how was this person working? How was their work style? And were you satisfied with the work that this person has done or not? And this is simply what Germans don't do. So having worked in the HR department for several years, I've never seen anybody call a reference contact. So Vince is here and Prima Donna is here. Hi, thank you very much, guys, for joining me here. So the topic of today is certificates of employment or job references. So in Germany, we don't use this section of the contact references. We don't pick up the phone when I'm working in the HR department and I'm recruiting currently, then I don't pick up the phone and call the previous employer of this person. First of all, this person will probably only enter people that will, say wonderful things about them, right? And second of all, I don't want to spend the time on simply having a chit chat on the phone with somebody that I don't know, and just to find out how you have been working with them. So Germans are really, really hesitant to do that. Maybe at some point, especially if you're in the industry and maybe, for example, you're interested in robotics or something like that, and then you see, okay, so this employee has been working with that particular company. And Christopher is here. Hi, Christopher. Thanks for joining me here. And so basically, if you are interested in that particular area, then it might be that the technical person will call somebody, but this is really, really rare. We don't do that. So typically you just have to keep in mind how the application process looks like. So your application is going to be, probably nowadays, definitely online. You will upload your data, you will upload your CV, and then from there, the HR department is the first address that is screening your documents, and they are the ones that are deciding whether your documents are actually reaching the technical department where you want to land, so where you want to work. And the HR department is definitely not going to call anybody that is probably from another technical department of a competitor of a different company, but they are screening your documents. And that's why we are very, very meticulous and really, really focused on certificates of employment. And I see that all the time when I'm working with my clients that they simply don't have certificates of employment. But let me assure you this, you're not the only ones. So just because you are from outside of the German labor market and you have typically worked somewhere abroad and it's not typical to have a certificate of employment in your country, doesn't really mean that you have a disadvantage here on the German labor market. I just want to show you that it's important for you to realize once you are working here that you make sure that you get a certificate of employment, okay? So, I also see that with former colleagues of mine. I also see that with former students that I was studying with, so former friends of mine who have been applying, and just simply during the process of screening so many applications, I have seen that a lot of people don't pay attention to really receiving a certificate of employment. So when I'm asking my friends, so sometimes I'm talking to my friends and they say, okay, well, this position has now ended. I wanted to take a look and I wanted to have a career change. Maybe let's go somewhere else. So the first thing that I'm asking, have you thought about your certificate of employment? And most of my friends, no, I don't want to bother the HR department and it's really difficult and I really don't want to do that. I don't want to really bother anyone. I'm out of there and I have a new job and that's where I want to go. But this is actually really, really bad that you don't put in that effort to really receive the certificate of employment, because actually, according to the law, you are entitled to get a certificate of employment, and there are different ways. So first of all, we have two laws in Germany that basically make sure that you receive or that you are entitled to receive a certificate of employment. And one is basically about the, it's called paragraph 630 BGB. So it's basically about just German law, and then also paragraph 109 GEWO. So, and this is about the industrial order, or the industrial code that we have. And there are two aspects that are very important for you to know about the certificate of employment. So first of all, you are entitled to receive one once you are leaving the company, and many companies also offer you, if you have a position change within the company, or if you are simply there and have been working with that company for quite some time, normally a well-established HR department makes sure that you receive a interim report or something like that every 2 years. However, at least at the end of your contract, so once you have decided you want to move on, work with a different company, and you are leaving that company, or you're, for example, going for maternity leave or paternity leave, so whatever you decide on, you're going on a sabbatical as well, that's when you say, okay, I now want to have a certificate of employment, a job reference. So that's this one part of the law. And the second one is, it needs to be phrased and formed, like the wording needs to be in a way that it is supportive. So it is basically every certificate of employment that is written written well, then it is really, really supportive of the employee. So basically, it doesn't show any hurdle for you to receive the new job. And it's basically designed in a way that the new potential employer reads it and thinks, oh yeah, well, that's a very kind employee. It's a wonderful employee that is working with us. So then we had an inflation of beautifully phrased certificates of employment at some point, and that's why HR departments have somehow come up or designed their own specific code and wording so that the HR people really know how to evaluate whether this employee is good or not. And there are specific phrases that they can use. So if something is always to the full extent, you would say, okay, that's an A plus, something like that. Or in German, it's a 1. 1 is our best grade that we can get. Yeah. And if there's something that is not how we call written in a superlative, so basically it's not the fullest extent, for example, but it's to full extent, then it's already a 2. And these words and phrases is something that I learned as an HR person, and all of my colleagues that are working in HR departments where the HR departments are really developed, they know this code. So this HR code for certificates of employment. Yeah. So me as an HR lady, when I am seeing a certificate of employment, I can take a look at it and I can say, okay, well, this person has done a great job. This is a great value added to our company. Or I can say, this person was a little bit lazy. So you would never find this word lazy in a certificate of employment. It'll be written in a wonderfully, wonderful way that sounds really, really nice. And that sounds really, really positive. However, due to the HR code, you can then realize and find out whether your certificate of employment is really written to the fullest extent, so with a 1 all the time, or whether there are any points that might be a little bit weird, that your new employer might read, so the HR department of your new employer might read and then think, doesn't sound so nice. Yeah. So we will go a little bit more into detail, but just now I have a little overview of the different references that you can actually get. So there's just a simple job reference, for example, that you can receive. You can receive a qualified job reference, an interim report, a training certificate, an internship certificate. Okay, so basically for each of the steps across the career ladder, you will get a reference, and you can ask for a reference every 2 years, and you are entitled to get one once you are leaving the company. So that is the latest, that's the point when you definitely can make sure that you receive one. Okay, so, and now there is a new rule that says that you're only entitled to ask for a certificate of employment for 3 years. So once you have left the company, you only have 3 years time to come up with the final words and the final version of your certificate. However, so for example, you're leaving the company today and next year you are applying for another job, and then somebody's asking, well, we need your job certificate from the previous employer that you had in 2021. And then you need to make sure that you go back to that company and say, well, I'm still within these 3 years. I need to get my certificate of employment now because my new employer needs it. Okay, so basically that's what you can do. It's your right to do that here in Germany. So some of you already know me and know a little bit about my background. I have not just worked in the HR department in Germany, but I have also worked in purchasing in the UK. So I was working as an HR lady in purchasing in England. And there I've been working for 3 years. And then I quit my job there and I said, okay, no, I'm going back to my family and friends back in Germany. So now I'm quitting my job. That's why, because I want to apply for jobs in Germany, I need a certificate of employment. And guess what the English people, what the British said? No, we cannot give you one. That's not allowed. It's against the law. It is illegal to give you a certificate of employment. Yeah. So then I read a little bit more about that. And then I found out, okay, yeah, well, actually, reading now all of the, because obviously I had been working in people development and I was also recruiting at that time. So I was screening the different CVs and cover letters, for example. However, I would never call the contact references, but I would also not see any job certificates. And it was only then when I left the company that I found out, oh, it's actually illegal in Great Britain to have a certificate of employment. And now you can take a look at the country where you're currently living in. It might be that it's illegal to get a certificate of employment. Yeah. So, and the reason why is basically that the employer can write a certificate of employment for you, but then what happens if it's phrased in a way that you don't seem attractive to a new employer? So basically they have written about all of the key skills and tasks that you have done. However, the way how it was phrased was not to the fullest extent, or something just they missed something. Then you are obviously able to sue the company. You can sue the company for writing a certificate of employment that is written or phrased in a negative way, which is why you didn't receive the new job, or which is a reason why you have obstacles to attain a new job. Yeah. So, and that's why it is illegal in the English speaking world. In or on the German labor market, however, we have come up with this: no, everything needs to be right, and the certificate of employment needs to be written in a well-phrased manner. And Mojo is here. Hi, thanks for joining me. I'm talking about certificate of employment today. So, and for everybody that already knows a little bit of German, so the certificate of employment is all about the Arbeitszeugnis. Yeah, so that's what we're talking about. And well, due to these two laws and these two paragraphs that I talked to you about, it is basically, there are all of the hearts. Thank you very much. I like you too. And so due to the laws in Germany, the certificate of employment needs to be phrased in a positive manner, which is why we have this inflation of really well-phrased certificates of employment, which doesn't really help. But the HR people have their own code, and that's why obviously it is still written in a positive manner. However, an HR person or a trained person that really knows what certificates of employment are about know and can really understand what this phrasing actually means. Yeah. So what do I want you to know? It's basically to keep in mind you are entitled to get a certificate of employment once you're leaving the company. You have the entitlement for up to 3 years after leaving the company, but after these 3 years, you cannot go back and ask for a certificate. Yeah, and it needs to be well phrased in a positive manner. Okay, so now let's go on and find out what happens if there is a bad job reference. Yeah, and Maori is here. Hi, thanks for joining me. We're talking about certificates of employment. So sometimes there are hidden messages in these certificates, so in the phrasing, and that's what I want you to keep in mind. So take a look at any of your certificates of employment if you have already received some, or just keep that in mind, and maybe you just save this video on your phone, or you save it somewhere in your social media accounts to make sure to get back to the video once you receive a certificate of employment, to really go through the checklist whether everything is written in a positive manner, so that you actually get a new job. So basically that you are attractive as an employee for your potential new employer. So hidden messages could, for example, be anything where they have written about a fact that is not important for your position. Yeah. So, and this is something like reverse wording. So reverse wording is basically, for example, saying his or her punctuality gave no cause for complaint. So whenever you see the words no or never, you need to be a little bit suspicious, okay? Because then it is really strange. So why would they say there was no cause for complaint? Why would you mention it then in the first place? Yeah, so as I said, normally we use the superlative, so basically the third version of all of our adjectives, that always spills and spoils you over the top, yeah, to the fullest extent instead of the full extent. And here now we have, so there was no cause for complaint. So first of all, we have no, and then we have complaint. Why would you use these words? Because obviously these are two negative words in itself, right? So basically, me being an HR person, now I would think, okay, it basically shows that this person was not on time. Yeah, his or her punctuality gave no cause for complaint. Well, most of the time this person was on time, but sometimes this person wasn't. This is what I read from this sentence, yeah? So first of all, when you read this sentence, her punctuality gave no cause for complaint. Nice, yeah, it's a very, very neutral sentence. However, an HR person would think about that. Okay, so there are words like no or never, and this is what I want you to keep in mind. Yeah, take a look at your job certificates and find out, is there no or never, and then in which combination, okay? So the reverse wording, that one. Also passive formulations. So if, for example, yeah, so something like Mr. or Mrs. his tasks or the tasks were assigned to, or something like Mr. Smith was used for the following activities. So this is not really personal. That's not really nice to phrase it in that way. Yeah, so it's really, if you are using the passive voice in general, it's always that there is a distance between the action, because obviously the passive voice is used for describing an action instead of describing the person that is doing something. And that's what we want to eliminate in our job certificate, right? So this is just a little bit of grammar background. However, we want to have the active voice. We want to talk about the person and what this person has done, yeah? So not just about, okay, so there were these tasks and they were assigned to that person. Just because these tasks were assigned to that employee, it doesn't really tell me as an HR lady reading that when I'm recruiting, it doesn't really tell me whether this person has actually done these tasks. They were assigned to that person, but did this person really do these tasks? I don't know. So be very careful with that one. Then also, something like twisted order. So for example, if there are any dates coming up and they are mixed and matched, and it just doesn't really add up. That can sometimes especially happen if you're doing internships. Yeah, so sometimes it happens like that. You start with a company, you're doing an internship, and then after 3 months you realize, oh, my internship is almost at the end, but I want to stay with that company. Maybe I want to write my thesis with them. And then you get a new contract, and then it all gets mixed up. And that's when you need to be very, very careful, okay? Because this mix up can look, for me, recruiting you again, like, there's something that doesn't make sense. Maybe this letter is just made up. Maybe there is this person is lying. Maybe this person has made up their own certificate of employment. Yeah, and this is what happens actually in many cases, that employees are writing their own certificates, and then the bosses or the HR people are just simply signing that, depending on the size and the commitment of the company, obviously. However, if I'm recruiting and I see that there is the dates are not matching up and they don't make sense to me, what am I doing? I'm not calling any contact of reference, yeah? I'm not doing that. I don't call anyone. It just doesn't make sense. So this application goes into the bin. That's what happens, yeah? So you need to be very careful. Then also, if the text is really, really short, that doesn't really show a lot of interest of your previous employer into what you have done. No appreciation, yeah? And then again think, okay, so why has this person just written a short text? And then again, why has the employee not made sure that there is more text to write about? Yeah. And obviously any sort of contradictory statements, yeah, so maybe good relationship here, or just a yeah, a wonderful, the best relationship with the boss or something like that. That's when I would again really think about, I need to find out what is going on here. So the best relationship to the boss, yeah, is a brown noser person maybe, and just a good relationship to colleagues. Or it could also be the other way around, yeah. And then it's always in the phrasing to find out, is this person, and I get the impression that this person is just a party people person, or is this person maybe very, very reserved or brown noser? And then obviously the recruiting people think about, okay, who is the person that I really need? Do I need a brown noser in my office or not? So, and then you can make sure to use a checklist. So the things that you need to take a look at, just in general, is basically you want to take a look at the general overview. Yeah. So how is basically the general impression of this letter? Is it high quality paper? That is something that you need to keep in mind as well. So if you have, if your company has corporate identity paper, if they have paper that is really, really typical for their letters, use this. If they have a very, very, like, if there is a difference whether you're using a piece of paper that has only 80 grams or whether you're using 120 grams. And people from the HR department know that as well. Yeah, so me writing job certificates, I would always use the very good letters for that. I would use the 120 grams for that, depending on what kind of paper I have there. Yeah, but especially with all of the formalities of the company on this sheet of paper, that is very, very valuable. Yeah, because obviously if a new recruiter takes a look at it and also already sees the logo and the all of the other aspects of the company, they know, oh, okay, yeah, so this person has not made up this certificate on his or her own, but it is an official letter from that company. So that's the basic impression. Then obviously the contents, yeah, so how much is there? Like, is there just a short text, or is it really detailed or not? And here again, the paper should be about 2 to maximum of 3 pages. Everything that is more than 3 pages, I would get suspicious again, because I would think, okay, so this is just a really well thought out letter. Everything is written in a very wonderful manner. Maybe this person has written this letter on their own. So yeah, 2 to 3 pages. However, not just a very short text, okay? Then your successes should be part of this certificate. Yeah, so what have you achieved during the time when you've been working there? Then the way how it is phrased, obviously, and with that, I mean all of the phrasing, what I just mentioned. Yeah, is it always to the fullest extent, or is it just there is no cause for complaint? Think about that. Then obviously, if there are words being used such as most, best, to fullest, and so on, then this is really, really good. This gives you a high score here. If there are words that are meaningless, yeah, just like just good or average or something like that, that's obviously always less than the high score. Then it's very important to have the reason why you are leaving that company in your certificate. Yeah, so is it because you have quit? Is it because your job contract has ended? Is it because of maternity leave or whatever? But there needs to be a reason why you're leaving this company. Also, make sure that the company says thank you. Yeah, so your former employer needs to say thank you in that letter for all your commitment, for your energy, for the time that you've spent there. And the company should also give you good wishes for your future. Yeah, so they all, obviously the employer is dissatisfied and really unhappy that you're leaving if you've been a really good employee. However, just be reasonable. They want the best for you. Yeah. And that's what they are expressing in that certificate of employment as well. And last but not least, like with all of our formal documents, there needs to be a signature. And most of the times I see certificates of employment with 2 signatures. Yeah. So it's your direct manager and then maybe the boss. And that is what you can think about. And I do have actually a lot more tips and tricks on this topic. And if you want to learn more about that, feel free to sign up for my newsletter, and you will get more information on just the German labor market and how to apply here in Germany in general. So sign up for that and feel free to book a free consultation with me if you need help with phrasing or with finding out whether your certification of your employment is really written in a great manner or not. And if you need any help with the job hunt here in Germany in general, feel free to contact me, reach out to me, book a free consultation call with me. I'm very much looking forward to seeing you guys again next week. And we will go more into detail about alternatives of the certificate of job reference, or the job reference in general. So thank you very much and have a lovely week. Bye.